Hello, everyone. My name is Benny R. Ferguson Jr., and welcome to this episode of The Strategy of Brilliance. Today's topic is the problem with religion. So, the problem with religion is that they often don't describe the practice. And this is not all religions, this is just some of them. You have to understand that there's a practice to spirituality. And I'm going to make this a different video because religion and spirituality are two different things. And for those of you who are really trying to connect, it's about being spiritual. It's about spirituality. And spirituality is a practice. And it's not a linear practice. It's not a straight line. Spirituality takes you to various points often, and they often seem like they don't even connect. They don't even make sense. But they're perfect at the same time when you look back in hindsight, as you grow and as you expand. When you look around the world at the different religions and the different spiritual practices, different spirituality teachings, there are practices. There are things that you have to do, things that people are doing to do what? To connect with Source, to connect with God, with universal mind, or whatever it is that you want to call it. There's something that exists from which everything comes. There is something that exists which creates the energies, which creates the particles, which creates the forms, which yields the experiences. And we all are participating in that. We all exist inside of that. And it exists inside of us right now. It's not out there somewhere dictating your life, granting you success every now and then, or causing you pain every now and then so that you can have a lesson and learn something. It's not that. That which everyone has sought to connect with over the millions of years that humanity has been on this planet exists now within each and every one of us. And each leader that has ever come forth, each teacher that has ever come forth and given a philosophy has been engaged in a practice. The Buddha, Muhammad, if you're involved in Hinduism, or if you know of Hinduism, if you've ever read the Bhagavad Gita, if you ever read the Tao, which is a Chinese philosophy, if you have read the Bible, specifically the books that outline or follow Jesus, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. If you look at those books, specifically in the Bible, and then also the teachings of those other individuals that I mentioned, there are practices being engaged in. Jesus was involved in a practice, a personal practice in which he connected and found that he was always connected to the source of everything. The Buddha was involved in a practice which was self-discovery, which created self-discovery, in which he realized that he was connected to the source of all things. The Bhagavad Gita describes it. The Tao describes it. Muhammad was involved in a practice that he found that he was connected to the source of all things. And this is where the philosophies came from. So if you're not engaged in a practice, you may be off. If you're thinking that there's something out there that you need to pray to and that is going to give you or support you or help you in some kind of way, you may be off a little bit. I'll tell you where the most condemning part is. Humanity believing that it is separate from the source of life yields low levels of self-esteem, low levels of self-value and self-worth. And that is the biggest fault, that is the most condemning thing that I have encountered. And I have encountered it inside of myself. It has been my biggest challenge. It has cost me the most money over my life. It has cost me the most success. It has cost me excitement. It has cost me joy. It has cost me peace, feeling that I was separate from the source of life. When it exists constantly, continuously, when it pervades all things, when it is in the particles that are in the space between me and the equipment that I have here. It exists in all things, throughout the universe, throughout the planets, throughout the stars. It exists, and it exists and permeates all of those things, including me, including you. It's not separate from us. And knowing that, if you knew that, your self-value and your self-worth would be to the point to where there would be nothing that could stand between you and anything that you desired in your life. But because if you feel separate from that, if you've been taught that you are somehow separate from that, and that you must look to something outside of you for support in your life, something outside of you that offers and grants you opportunities or blessings, then your self-esteem, your self-value has taken a hit, possibly since you were a child if you were taught that. And that is what separates you from the joy that you're seeking. That is what separates you from the peace that you would like to have. That is what separates you from the ability to create any experience that you would like. Think about it. And you don't have to trust me. You don't have to believe me. You can look all the way around the world. You can look into all the major spiritual traditions and look to the practice. And don't look for what is different or what is wrong. Look for what is the same. Look for the parallels in those practices. And begin to practice those things for yourself. And see what you find. It is an individual journey. It is a personal journey. It is an immensely empowering journey. My name is Benny Ferguson. Thanks for hanging in and watching this episode of The Strategy of Brilliance. Be sure to like, follow, or subscribe depending on where you're watching this video. You are now engaged in the only game that there is, and that is the game of mastering your mind.